This is Jessica with Jacob's Tutoring Service. This is video number 2 of the Algebra 1 video series going through the Virginia SOL curriculum. This is the released spring 2015. This was released in spring 2015. And we're going to go ahead through it. So we're starting here with number 6. And let's zoom in so we can take a look. What is the value of the square root of 128 in simplest radical form? All right. So you have to find some factors of 128. And I'm actually just going to kind of get with my calculator and try to figure out. So you're just going to kind of see my, I think 10 should work. No? Where is my factor for 128? Let's do 9. There we go. There's our first one, 8 and 16. Okay. See, there's not a method of madness. It's a plug and chug. You watched me do it on my calculator. Okay, so there's, unless you're really good with your times tables, which I've forgotten a lot of mine, sadly. It's so we're going to use 8 and 16. We know 8 times 2 is 16. You can stop here because we have 2 8s. You can go ahead and circle them and know that they're going to go out. So you take the 8 out and you're leaving behind the 2. 8 square root 2. And that is here, 8 square root 2. Another thing, just to give you kind of, and you could do this with on a lot of these problems, if you put this into your calculator, the square root of 128, and then you do 8 square root 2, you should get the same number back. If you do not, then your answer is not correct. All right. So this is a nice way to check. Again, that's number 6. All right, moving on here to number 7. So this is number 7 in our video series here. So what you want to do with this one is first you want to start with factoring the top. So let's look again. I'm going to rewrite it here. Okay, so here's that top number. All right. I have a problem with how it's written, and you may as well, because it's not written in standard form. So let's go ahead and write it in standard form so we can look at it a different way. All right, now it looks a little bit nicer to factor. Now here's the thing. Use whatever factoring method you want. A couple years back, I was introduced to a method called the slide and divide, and I love it. So it's called... I think it's a foolproof way to factor without having to really think a lot about it. So that's the method that I use. So here's how you do the slide and divide. The idea is that you slide this number over here. So basically we're going to multiply. You have n, so that will be n squared plus n. And then a negative 2 times 3 is a negative 6, right? So now let's factor this. This is nicer looking than this was. So we know 6 can break down to 3 into 2. And we know we need this middle number to be positive. So 3 needs to be positive and 2 needs to be negative. All right. So that means our factor would be n plus 3 and n minus 2. Well, this method is called slide and divide. We slid up here, we have to divide down here. So whatever you multiply by up here, you have to divide by down here. Divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2. This does not divide out, right? You can't take 3 into negative 2. You end up getting, it stays a fraction. So the 2 is going to go to the front. So 2n plus 3. A negative 2 divided by a negative 2 is a positive 1. So that's what we're left with. So let's rewrite this over here. We have negative 2 n plus 3, and then n plus 1. And then let's bring this down here. All right, so what happens here is this and this cancels, leaving you with this. So your answer should be, where's it at? It's rewritten 3 minus 2n. It's gonna be right here, B. At first I was like, oh, where's it at? But then I realized that they just rewrote it. So there's our answer. So that's number 7 for us. Again, this technique was called slide and divide. All right, so number 8. Which is a factor of 2n squared minus 5n minus 42? Again, I'm going to do the slide and divide technique. Let me just talk you through something else though. If you chose not to do the slide and divide, you would factor the 2 and factor the 42 and figure out what multiplied together will get 5, okay? That is so much work. It's so much easier. 2 times a negative. Let's look at what we're going to do. Let's make sure my calculator's on the screen. So 2 times negative 42. So we have n squared minus 5n minus 84. All right. Now, we have to factor 84 to figure out what two things multiply together to get 84, but add to get a negative 5. All right, so 84. Let's do 12 and 7. 12 minus 7 is, in fact, 5. That was simply a lucky guess, okay? Since that's a negative 5, I know the larger number has to be negative. So it would be n minus 12 and n plus 7. Now it's called slide and divide. I slid it, now I have to divide by it. So I'm going to divide by 2, divide by 2. Here, a negative 12 divided by 2 is a negative 6. So here it'll be n minus 6. And then you can't really do this. So you're left with 2n plus 7. Now what we want to do is go over here and figure out, I'm sorry, 2n plus 7. So that's not 1. Has to be this, G. All right, number 9. All right, this does not look friendly. But believe it or not, it's not as bad as it looks. It's testing you on 2 rules, okay? Exponents. When you multiply them, you add exponents. When you divide them, you subtract them. All right, so what we're looking at here, I'm gonna write it again so I can, just a little bit bigger. Okay, we're going to look at the A's together and then look at the B's together, okay? So what this tells me is A, 12 minus 3, because remember we're dividing them, so we subtract, okay? And then B, 2 minus 6. So if we do 12, I just want to make sure I don't do any bad math in this video, so let's, 12 minus 3, that's 9, so A, 9. And then 2 minus 6 gives me B, negative 4. Okay. Now, what does this mean? When you have a negative exponent, if you put it as a denominator, it becomes positive. So what we can do is rewrite this A9 over B4, and then we're done. A9 and B4, that answer is A. So there's your number 9. All right, this is number 10. Let's zoom in just a little bit more. So number 10. What is the the value of the expression when n is equal to negative 15. So what we want to do here was a 2, that's an absolute value, negative 15 plus 6, close here. So what I want to do is what's here in this absolute value. Negative 15 plus 6. Well, that gives us a negative 9. So it's negative 2 times the absolute value of negative 9. Well, the absolute value of negative 9 is a positive 9. So we have 2 times a negative 9. Sorry, negative 2 times 9 should be negative 18. And the answer here is, here it is, B. And that ends this series of videos, questions 6 through 10. If you want to see more of these videos, please make sure you like and subscribe. There'll be more to come. Thank you for watching. If this video was helpful, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.